Mulch. Pretty much anywhere you look in South Florida, you see it.
From your yard to the garden, even your children's playground. Most likely, you don't think much about it. But what if we told you some mulch right here in South Florida contains a dangerous poison?
Contact 5 has been collecting mulch samples from all around our area. And tonight, Shannon King joins us with the results of her 2-month investigation. Shannon.
Jim, Laurel, what we found was alarming. This poison is sitting in many cases just outside your front door. But what's more disturbing? There's no government agency assigned to clean this problem up. This is a massive pile of trash, wooden poles, plywood, siding, wooden pallets. All this construction and demolition debris could be headed for your backyard.
I'm sure you wouldn't believe it. You would never have any idea.
From your view inside Chopper 5, watch as construction debris is pulled from this pile, transferred by bulldozer to this massive grinder, and sprayed out the other end in tiny chunks, chips of wood. Once they add a little red dye, you guessed it, this will be mulch, ready to spread in your backyard. Many environmentalists actually say this is a good thing, that recycling garbage like old, unwanted construction debris and turning it into mulch keeps it out of our bulging landfills. But after 2 months of sampling and testing, Contact 5 has discovered a widespread problem. That if you're not careful about where you buy this stuff, you could be spreading a poison to your very doorstep.
It blows my mind.
Lene Dayhoff is an environmental activist and works for a huge mulch producer.
There are some laboratory test results that show a range of arsenic anywhere from 40 to 120 parts per million in any given bag of this mulch.
She's getting the word out on the dangers of what industry insiders call dirty mulch.
This is a hazard. This does have the potential to make humans and animals sick. I think that's a really huge problem.
It's the only place that we've been exposed to arsenic.
It was a serious problem for this family more than 2 years ago. Yet the government agency charged with protecting you from this toxin is just starting to pay attention to the problem.
I think it's obviously of something that people should be cautious about, but what's a safe level, I really don't know what to say on that.
Is there a danger here to the public?
Is there a danger to the public? Yes, there is. The high level of arsenic content would be a major concern.
Bob Lagasse heads the Mulch and Soil Council in Manassas, Virginia. His is an industry trade group that randomly tests mulch, looking for high levels of cancer-causing metals like arsenic. In that testing, have you found high levels of arsenic in mulch here in the state of Florida?
Yes, we have.
And this is the culprit, outdoor lumber, pressure treated with CCA. That's chromium, copper, and arsenic. It's been used for years on decks, docks, and fences, even children's playgrounds, because it stands up well against the elements. But a series of tests in the early 90s showed the CCA metals were leaching out of the wood at levels high enough to cause cancer. The lumber was pulled out of playgrounds across the country, but now it's showing up again.
My feet were numb, my legs were numb.
In your backyard as recycled mulch.
We were just landscaping, just like millions of people do.
Victor and Nancy Alvarez started feeling strange after landscaping their home in the Florida Keys.
Pins and needles on your feet, you know, it's just a sensation, like a electric sensation in your body.
Their official diagnosis, arsenic poisoning. And guess where it came from?
From the mulch. They told my husband, his neurologist said that it'd take a couple of years for the nerve endings to regenerate.
Their doctor also told Victor he was so highly dosed with poison, it could have killed him. So Contact 5 set out to track down arsenic-tainted mulch in our area. We spent 2 months pulling samples from North Palm Beach to Wellington to Boca Raton. We gathered our samples at parks, private homes, and businesses like Channel 5. Then we went shopping and gathered more samples from bags purchased directly from retailers. We took all of our samples for testing to Jupiter Environmental Lab, Tara Barty is a geologist here.
We run a lot of arsenic. Arsenic's a very important issue in Florida soils.
Why is that?
It's a carcinogen, so it'll cause cancer if it's at too high, if you're exposed to it at too high of a level.
In fact, according to Florida's Department of Environmental Protection, the soil in residential areas should be cleaned up if arsenic levels exceed 2.1 milligrams per kilogram. So how did our samples fare? 19 out of 35 tested above the state cleanup limit for residential soil.
It was 7.1 milligrams per kilogram. When we ran another piece of wood out of the same jar, it was 140. And for B1, we got 370, and then another piece was 3.3.
So this is high.
Oh, yes. It's extraordinary. If the Florida Department of Environmental Protection says 2.1 milligrams per kilogram isn't the limit, the upper limit for soil in the state of Florida, and after which you have to take some kind of remedial action with it, and it's unsafe for people to be exposed to for longer periods of time, I can't imagine that mulch with 370 would be acceptable. It wouldn't be to me. I wouldn't plant in it, I wouldn't let my kids play in it, and I wouldn't let my dogs roll around in it. It's very high levels.
370 was the highest level we found.
If your clients got back high levels of arsenic like these in soil or water, what would you advise them to do?
I'd ask them to call DEP and find out why there was so much arsenic in the mulch.
The DEP she refers to is the Florida Department of Environmental Protection.
We don't have a number for mulch. We regulate, the soils, contaminated soils. We regulate groundwater.
Richard Tedder is the head of DEP's Solid Waste Division.
We really don't have any health-based numbers for what is a safe level of arsenic in mulch.
Why not? I mean, if we have it in soil and we have it in water, why not mulch?
Well, we regulate waste materials, and mulch is a product, so we don't really have standards for products.
Waste materials. Tedder's agency does regulate recycling facilities, but they're only concerned about the chemical levels for the materials they send to the garbage. Since mulch is bagged up and sold to you, it's seemingly exempt from those rules.
Levels like these, does this concern you?
I think it's obviously of something that people should be cautious about. Obviously, 370 is quite a bit higher than our residential number of 2.1 in soil. There's no doubt about that. But exactly what a 3.70 number means for mulch, I'm not qualified to say.
Would you want your children or your pets playing in mulch that's...
We feel like it's not a good idea to use CCA wood in making mulch. It's reasonable to assume that there could be some health risk associated with spreading mulch all over the place that's made from CCA wood.
And the Federal Environmental Protection Agency hinted at this topic too in this notice issued in January of 2004, a warning that people who shred or chip waste CCA-treated lumber into wood mulch for uses such as landscaping applications are not using the treated wood for its intended use. But like the Florida's DEP, the federal government has no set arsenic limits for mulch.
Go back to my question again, knowing how much you know about arsenic, what it does with the potential risks of it, would you let your children or your pets play in mulch or be in mulch or be around mulch that is ringing in 140, 370, even 7.1?
Well, I would be careful where I got my mulch.
While Richard Tedder says his agency has no real authority to regulate products like mulch, the DEP has drafted this huge document, and agency officials are testing the boundaries of their authority, trying to pass these rules that would keep recycling plants from turning out dirty mulch. Now, we should mention that these new rules have been discussed for many, many months now, and there has been no promise if or when they will actually be approved. Until then, it's buyer beware. Well, we were talking earlier, there's so much landscaping going on here in South Florida. Yeah. What is the customer to do to try to find mulch? Be informed. Go to our website right now, www.WPTV.com. You can tell we've already posted right now a list of tips to help you navigate the world of mulch. We've also just posted a list of zip codes where we actually found some of the samples of the arsenic-tainted mulch in our report. Also, take a look at this, Jim and Laurel. The Mulch and Soil Council offers this logo to mulch mulch manufacturers who submit to random testing on their mulch. Those that are relatively clean get to use this Mulch and Soil Council stamp on their bag, so you can look for this logo and have some degree of certainty that your mulch is safe.
Like the big stores we were talking about, most of us go to Home Depot or Lowe's.
Lowe's and Home Depot have become aware of this problem. They insist that that logo be placed on all the bags that they sell.
Well, something to think about. There's so many bags of mulch around our homes. What was the Channel 5 number, by the way?
We had dirty
Just
mulch,
wondering.
7.8.
Yeah?
7.8. So
wonderful.
I'm waiting for the statement from our lawyers. I'm just teasing.
Well, we're not rolling around in the mulch, but still.
That's right.
We could do better.
Thank you.